Alright guys, so I'm not gonna lie, roadarmor's instructions for installing some of these brackets, the bolts and everything really suck. So I'm going to explain to you what I have done and how I figured out almost everything here. So here's the scoop. You see this bracket? This is your bumper bracket. This is a bracket supplied by roadarmor. When you put this on, it attaches at the bottom over here using the supplied bolt that they give you, and that is the bracket I was talking about. That if you have tow bars installed, you're gonna have to remove them. You're not gonna be able to use them at all. So I was lucky that I never bought tow bars, so feel like I didn't waste any money there. But if your truck came with tow bars, you don't have to worry. You're not gonna need them. With this bumper, you got a winch and everything. But anyway, back to what I was saying is this bracket now slides in behind here, and then it gets sandwiched with another bracket like this. The problem is, and they don't tell you this in the instructions, is you need to put this bracket on, use some sort of soapstone or marker to mark the back of this bracket here, and then using a drill bit you're gonna have to drill this out. I didn't realize that almost because when I was looking at the instructions on the paper, and then I decided let me look at it on the computer because they have it in color, it's a little easier. When they install this bracket, when you see the picture of this bracket installed, it looks exactly like this in the picture. And I was trying to figure out, well, how does it, where does this bolt go? Because there was no hole here, and this bracket behind, which is really weird. I think they should have made, this bracket taller so that the top hole would actually line up with the top hole, and it would save the consumer, aka you and me, from drilling. I mean, if you don't have the drill bits, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it is just, honestly, just kind of disappointing. The instructions don't even tell you what bolts go where. They just give you a whole bunch of bolts in the bag and kind of expect you to figure it out. So I figured out this much, and I'm going to show you the bolts in a second. But so when you're installing this bracket, put it on first, mark this hole, using the supplied hole on this bracket in the back, and then drill it from the rear using a small drill bit, so you make a hole in the front here through and through, and then using cutting oil and a step drill bit, drill backwards, and just till you get the hole big enough, sort of looking like this. So that's the first thing. Now onto the supplied bolts. What I did is I put everything here. Right. One sec. I put everything on top of this little box here. And what I did is I started organizing everything. They give you brackets that are already welded with nuts on them. Right here, this is going to go inside the front bumper, and I'll show you when we get to that part. But these O-rings are two different sizes. This is smaller than this one here. And these lock washers are also two different sizes. These are meant for these bolts. These are meant for these bolts. So what I suggest you do, lay out all your bolts, check each washer against one another so you're putting the same size in each pile, and then start assembling your bolts. Now you have a bunch of bigger bolts that look like this. These are bigger and a little shorter. These are long, smaller head, and then these have a bit of a shoulder to them, as you can see. And this is meant for the sandwich part of the bracket. So this bolt is what goes right here. So this goes through this bracket, and the bracket in the back. That's why they made them longer. Don't understand really why it's a little bit longer, because honestly this bolt would have probably done the same job. So lay out everything, and on this I'm assuming it's a washer in the front bolt, a washer and a lock washer, and then this nut. They don't tell you how to assemble the bolts. I actually just kind of figured this out on my own. So, you know, if anybody from roadarmor sees this, you may want to actually update your instructions to give the consumer exactly step by step how to assemble this, because they tell you how to take the front bumper off. Then they kind of go in depth about if you have if you have parking sensors in the front, then they talk to you about, like, you know, cutting the wire and like they go into depth about that. And then the installation, they don't tell you anything. Like, you kind of actually just going off the pictures, really. It's terrible. These are the worst instructions I've ever read in my life, you know. I mean, even IKEA, unfortunately, I have to say, has better instructions for putting together their equipment than roadarmor. I'd expect a lot, seeing as I paid about $3,000 for this, you know, front rear bumper and everything. So it's just really, I'm kind of actually disappointed that this is the instructions I get. But me being mechanically minded, I was able to figure it out. So I really hope that when you guys watch this video, you get to this segment, you really pay attention, because this is what's going to help everybody else. You know, these showing you how all these bolts are labeled out. So these are all the bolts that are going to mount the big bumper to the truck. These bolts are the mounting for your actual mounting brackets that they want you to install first. So that mounting bracket right there, and then, you know, how I did this over here. So I'm going to tighten these bolts down, and then I'll show you the finished product. Alright, so that's how it looks in the picture, according to the roadarmor's picture for the instruction manual. It also mentions on number 17 in the instructions that there's a tab back here that's bent backwards, and it says to cut or grind that off. Now here's the thing, they actually notched out a square that lines up exactly with that tab. So my truck's a 2012. It didn't affect me, so I didn't even bother to cut the tab or grind it off. It was only for this side. I'll show you on this side, it's right here, but these brackets install on the inside of the vehicle, so it was really only my driver's side right here. And like I said, it didn't really inhibit this from being installed correctly, so I didn't bother to cut it off. Now I've left all 4 bolts loose. I'm not going to tighten them up till later on, tomorrow at least, when I actually put the bumper on, and then we're going to see if it's got to move to the left or to the right just a little bit. And then once we get it exactly where it needs to be, I will then tighten these completely up, along with and then we'll get everything all snug and tight. So the left, right, you know, we want to make sure it's kind of centered on the truck when you do it. But that's really it for the front. I mean, you can see it's just a bracket there, and then a bracket here, and then that's really it. Alright, so another great instructions from roadarmor, which they don't tell you. They give you a set of Allen bolts with nuts, and apparently you got to use them to secure this bracket on the inside. Now, me and my buddy put them in, and they're a bit of a pain in the ass. One other thing, this bottom bolt that you see here, they forgot to punch the hole out. I had to do it for them. So, wonderful, right? And we've kind of just barely tightened them where they hold still. And now we got it jacked up using an engine hoist. We're going to mount it on the truck, and hopefully everything just goes smoothly. Alright? So, place you guys right there. Through the truck. Oh, there you can. Alright, awesome. Alright. Ready? Yep. Okay. Let us start folding this. You stable the bumper. Yep. Go ahead. Go out there. Ready?
Yep.
Let's go.
Go ahead.
Oh.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yep. Keep going.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, watch yourself.
You
Watch
got it?
yourself. All right, yeah. Now it's gonna want to just go. Can you kick it over? Get the you have the fender covers on because this is gonna. Hold on, man. Watch the other side.
Yep. Go ahead.
Alright guys, this is the final product here, as you can see. Bumpers are on, intimidator guard is on, everything works, all lights. I'm happy with the way it looks, to be honest with you guys, just not happy about how the install went, and I'm gonna explain why. Alright, with the with the install on this side here, when I pop my hood and I gotta open it, I gotta, if you can see my pinky, I gotta push down on the corner just a little bit to bend the hood just a little bit to get it to open and or close. We adjusted the bumper all the way out as much as we can. You know, we spent about 7 hours adjusting the bumper. I mean, not adjusting the bumper, but like between installation and adjusting, it was pretty much a full day, and then we quickly had to throw the rear bumper on, because that was just easy. That was just the 4 bolts, and it just, you know, it went in, and there was no adjustment left, right, up, down. Not like this, which was I had to make adjustments, and then it's just I could tell you, if you are your do-it-yourself mechanic and you know you do your own oil changes and stuff like that, that's great, but this needs to be done by a professional shop. I mean, I've been in the field, so for me I have most of the tools needed to do the job, but I'm gonna be honest, most guys have a basic wrench set and a couple of tools to work on the truck that they got, and I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of drilling, a lot of mounting brackets with holes that don't exist, stuff like that. As you can see here, the winch worked out very well. I thought, you know, I mentioned earlier in the video, I thought it wasn't gonna fit all the way in, but it does, and I can reach my hand in and turn the release lever, and I can also reach in all the way and unhook the rubber piece that covers the controller port. So that's great there. What else could I tell you? The grill is held on by the 4 bolts. There's nothing holding it into the, at least for the bottom, where all that plastic that we took off in the beginning, those had pieces where the grill would snap into in the bottom at least. There's nothing there. So it's just the 4 bolts holding it on the top. I just finished building the air compressor mount. I'm going to show you that for the air horns. This is it. I'm going to drop it off at a body shop and see if they can't just sandblast it for me real quick, and then I'll try to pick it up tomorrow and paint it myself. Whew. What else could I tell you? Other than that, I took it for a quick test drive when we did put the bumpers on, and right here it's touching the headlight, so you hear the squeaky squeaky when you're driving, or if you hit any bumps. So I'm gonna try to adjust that this weekend or next weekend. But for now, more or less, I would say heed my warning. This wasn't an easy installation. It took me and another friend to put this bumper on, and that took us most of a Sunday, starting at around, starting at about 10 o'clock in the morning. I did most of the previous prep work the previous day by putting the brackets and everything that needed to go on. But actually getting the bumper on, aligned and all, I thought it was going to be a 1, 2, 3 shot. It wasn't. So if you don't want to go through what I went through, I highly suggest getting it professionally installed by, you know, an off-road shop or like a four-wheel parts, any place that does real lift kits and stuff with trucks. They know what they're doing when it comes down to these bumpers. The Intimidator guard was great. Had no problem putting it on. Just this bolt right here that goes, I mean, this screw that goes through and attaches to a welded nut, for whatever reason was not aligning straight, so I had to retap the nut and rethread the screw, and then actually put some WD-40 on it. I threaded it into the nut without putting it through the brackets, and once it went all the way in, I took it out, then slapped everything back together and put it all to, you know, tightened it all up. So that's how that's working out. You know, I love the way the bumper looks. I know I've said that probably 3 times now. I'm just really disappointed in the fabrication that went into it. I'm not a perfectionist by any means, but I expect that when you pay a lot of money for a product that goes on a vehicle, I know sometimes things are not always perfect, but it really felt like this was a little bit rushed in production. Behind the bumper, it's all powder coated, but behind the bumper, there's a lot of slag in certain spots that was never removed. There was just, I mean, you know, once again, if anybody from Road Armor looks at this video, I highly suggest that you ramp up your QC department. If it was me, I would get 1 truck of each year and see how well your universal kit fits. You know, if you're saying your universal kit fits from 2009 to 2013 Dodge Ram 1500s, I would get a 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, and a 2013 and mount all your brackets to everything, so you know that, hey, from 2009 to 2011, these brackets work. But then when it goes 2012 to 2013, there's no hole in the stock mounting point, or the brackets don't work. So that's my little rant. But all that's left is to install the rear backup lights and the license plate lights, which I'll do later on.